Are you hearing the same thing that I'm hearing? And I had this conversation last week with Mike and a couple other people as well. Is that, and I actually said this right when they announced the White House card. I said, don't expect this card to have more than 5 or 6 fights. That's one. Two is everyone kept talking about let's stack it with 3 or 4, title fights. If you have Conor McGregor, the viewership's not going to get much higher. And whether I add John Jones or whether I add Chimaev or whether I add Islam, it's not going to get much higher. They're going to want to see the return of Conor McGregor. On top of that, who is he going to fight? The fight was already, I guess, apparently been staged and set up. It's been for the last 4 years, been the Michael Chandler fight. But how many more viewers are you going to get by adding 2 or 3 more title fights? That's not going to happen. And have you heard that you're also going to have 6 fights, 6, maybe 7 fights, but I think 6 is the number.
I think they're going to end up, but somewhere between 6 and 10. I think they will do a couple prelims on there just to kind of like warm things up, get things going, and then probably a 5-fight main card like they normally do. Unless, like I said, this is probably going to be on CBS. Maybe they do a 4-fight main card, do a 2-hour show as opposed to a 3-hour show to kind of condense the amount of time people are watching a show. But yeah, I mean, you're right. Like Conor, like it or not, Conor is still the biggest draw in the sport. He has been and remains so, and people are going to be curious to watch him come back after 4 or 5 years away. And it doesn't matter who he's fighting, but obviously Michael Chandler's a good name. So I think you're right. Like it's not going to get much bigger than that. But I do think hearing Dana constantly talk about how he wants to like make this the biggest card ever, and obviously he's very, very close to President Trump. I don't think they're just going to do Conor and then just like 3 random fights. Like I think it's going to be big stuff. Whether it's Jones Pereira, I mean, I think that'd be amazing. I don't think it necessarily needs it, but I think it'd be amazing. But I think they're going to fill it with names. You know, we've heard this stuff about Ronda Rousey, and now Gina Carano's training again. I wouldn't put it past them whatsoever to put Gina Carano and Ronda Rousey in the card. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not. But I'm saying like that's the spectacle I think he's going for, and that's why I said like Conor and Chandler, and then I don't know, like, you know, some other big spectacle fight. No titles even have to be on the line because at that point you're just selling with the Conor factor. So I agree, like it's not going to get much bigger than that, but I am curious to see how big it will get, especially if it airs on CBS. Josh, you were around during the Kimbo Slice days when they had that Kimbo Slice. I was actually at that fight with James Thomson and Gina Carano was on that card. Huge numbers. And a lot of that was just the spectacle of Kimbo Slice.
Yeah, and the history has shown, though, with CBS, now I know there's new ownership and new leadership there, but it's running this situation, but history has shown that if you had 2 title fights, they really only had 3 cards. They only had 3 fights with a swing bout. Yeah. So if you had 2 title fights on it, then you had a swing bout, and then you had one more fight. Only 4 fights with a swing bout. And because I do remember this because I ended up being a swing bout on one of those fights. And just whether you were in a fight or not, you didn't know until you had to walk. Hey, man, you got to get out there in 5 minutes. That's kind of the situation like CBS. That's what that primetime TV spot does. You're kind of left in limbo a little bit. I think in this situation, they're going to go ahead and give them a little bit of a carte blanche. The UFC has been proven to run a good pace of fights throughout a night. I think they can get through them. I don't see them doing any more than 6 fights, just to be honest. I think they'll do 4 on the main card, and they'll probably do 2 prelims, and the fights will all be good. They're going to probably try to push people from Paramount. You have 2 on the Paramount prelims, and then they'll push the other 4 fights or whatever it is onto CBS. And I don't think they need to have a John Jones and an Alex type fight. You know, and John kind of leaked a little bit, I guess. Maybe this is just the way that I interpreted it, was that he just said, well, you know, if it's not the White House, then, you know, it's something else will work out, whatever it is. I did notice, though, Tom, with all the stuff that he's going through, Tom Aspinall, but you've got Cyril Gahn and you've got Alex Mejia doing face-offs. You've got them, you know, kind of hinting that possibly there might be an interim title being thrown in the mix there, and there's something to be had in that situation. With Alex and Gahn doing face-offs, it does leave me out there because think about it. You've got Islam's not going to fight till after Ramadan. Chimaev's not going to fight till after Ramadan and his surgery, and then you really don't have other. Ilia Topuria is out for the first quarter, and so that seems to be they're going to have an interim title in the process, but those guys are fighting here soon. Where do you go these first 5 months? And you're supposed to be exploding onto the scene, but a lot of your top draws are sitting on the sideline.
Well, and that's why I think with the White House card, you're looking more like spectacle than really titles and things like that. And also to your point about Cyril Gahn and Alex Pereira, you know, let's not forget, no one negotiates harder than Dana White in the UFC. This could be a John Jones tactic to say, hey, John, we'll let you fight Alex Pereira, but you're going to have to lower your asking price because otherwise we're going to put him in there with Gahn. And John has made it. When John comes out and says very clearly, like, I want to be on the White House card, you've just taken away part of your power in that negotiation, because now they have the leverage to say, well, you want to be on this card so bad, how much less are you willing to take to do it? But you're right. Like, I mean, I know we're getting the interim title fight. We're getting Kayla and Amanda in January. We're getting Alex Volkanovski in Australia in February. I know there's rumors out there about Max Holloway fighting Charles Oliveira. I think that's going to happen early next year. I don't think that's going to be held to the White House card. So I think that's a big main event. Max Holloway is a legit star. So I think there's going to be and I think what you're going to have to start watching for in terms of the way they're building these cards is what headlines, because if they headline a card with Volkanovski and Diego Lopez, and they headline a card with Max Holloway and Charles Oliveira, if that comes to fruition, then you're starting to look at who else is out there. And as you mentioned, Hamzat's not going to fight right away. Islam's not going to fight right away. Well, who else is out there? Well, you got Merab fighting this weekend. If he wins, maybe potentially he comes back April, May. You got one of those cards to fill. You got Valentina Shevchenko out there. She's got a couple of contenders. You could throw her on one of the cards. And I don't think she's going to be a White House person, just being honest. I don't think she's going to end up on one of those cards. You got to look at who's available, and who's going to be out there with things like that. So I think they're going to do it strategically, and I think they're going to build. But remember, no more pay-per-view. Like, they're going to build big cards. They're not going. They didn't sign a $7.7 billion deal to put on crap cards, but they also don't have that pressure of, like, we got to sell pay-per-views. We got to sell $80 to our fans. And so if they don't stack a card like that, and they can do a card like they did last year with Dustin and Max, like, there was no title. It was a BMF title. It wasn't a real title. Still did great. Why? Because Max and Dustin are stars.
Yeah. No, I would agree with you 100%.